So with a rational equation, we are actually going to solve for two things. So I put a little box at the bottom of every problem so you remember to solve for both things. We are going to be solving for the solution of every equation, and we are going to be solving for the restriction of every equation. So the solution to an equation is what x equals. So we're going to solve the equation, figure out what x equals. The restriction to an equation is what x cannot equal. So I'm going to put an equal sign with a slash through it. Yes. Okay, I'll get you one later. So for those restrictions, let's put a little note to ourselves, and this has to do with our quick write. Because we've got x's in the bottom of our fractions, we are going to set our denominator not equal to 0. And say that our denominator, so the bottom of our fraction, cannot equal 0. Put your phone away. All right, so we are going to solve each equation. We're going to figure out what x equals. We're going to figure out what x cannot equal by setting our denominator equal to 0. So for an equation that looks like this, where we've got an x in the bottom of a fraction, the first thing that we need to do is get that x out of the bottom of our fraction. So we've got x plus 5 at the bottom of our fraction. The opposite of dividing is multiplying. So we're going to multiply both sides of our equation by x plus 5. I'm going to put that in parentheses since I need to multiply the entire thing by the entire thing. These x plus 5s cancel out. So this x plus 5 and this x plus 5 cancels out. So now I've got 12 equals 4 times x plus 5. I'm going to flip that around because we like solving equations with the x on the left. So I'm going to put 4 times x plus 5 equals 12. And then from there, I'm going to solve my equation. So I'm going to do 4 times x, which is 4x. 4 times 5, which is 20, equals 12. So I just distributed 4 times x, 4 times 5. From there, I'm going to solve for x. So I'll subtract 20 from both sides of my equation. I'll get 4x equals negative 8. And I'll divide both sides by 4 to get x equals negative 2. So that right there is the solution to my equation, is that x equals negative 2. Okay, any questions about that one? Okay, so then we are also going to solve to find the restriction of our equation. So for our equation, we know that we cannot have a 0 in the denominator. So anytime we have an x in the denominator, we have to take that denominator, set it not equal to 0, and solve. So we've got x plus 5 cannot equal 0. So I take what's in the bottom of my fraction, that x plus 5, set it not equal to 0, and then solve. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides and get x cannot equal 0 minus 5 is negative 5. I'm explaining just 1 second. So then that is our restriction, is x cannot equal negative 5. So we're finding what we can equal and what we can't equal. At the Algebra 1 level, those are never going to cancel each other out. At the Algebra 2 level, they will. That's why we're getting in the habit of anytime we have an x in the denominator of a fraction, we need to set it not equal to 0 and solve. So right now, with a linear equation, that's not going to happen. Once we get quadratic and polynomial equations, that might. So we're preparing for that now. Any questions about that problem and solving that or its restriction? You have a question? Okay. Put your phone away, please. Okay, so next one we're going to do. We've got negative 45 over 2x minus 3 equals 5. We are going to start by multiplying both sides by that 2x minus 3. Wait. So Miles, you can scoot over too. So Miles, why don't you scoot over your desk too? Or you can scoot into the desk next to you since no one's there. Okay, so with that, the 2x minus 3's cancel out. We've got negative 45 equals 5 times 2x minus 3. We're going to flip that around. We've got 5 times 2x minus 3 equals negative 45. From there, we can distribute and solve. So I'm going to do 5 times 2, which is 10x. 5 times negative 3, which is minus 15. That's the wrong color. Minus 15 equals, and I've got negative 45. From there, we're going to get rid of that minus 15 by adding 15 to both sides. So you got 10x equals negative 45 plus 15, which is negative 30. And then we divide both sides by 10. We get x equals negative 3. Okay. Any questions about solving for x? So our other one, we are going to take 2x minus 3. We're going to set it not equal to 0 because we cannot have a 0 in our denominator. So we have to take the denominator of our fractions, set it not equal to 0. This is going to be a two-step equation to solve because we've got that 2 and that minus 3 we've got to get rid of. So we'll add 3 to both sides. We've got 2x cannot equal 3. And then we divide both sides by 2. We are going to leave this as a fraction. So our fraction is going to be that x cannot equal 3 halves. On some of your restrictions, you are going to get fractions today. I'm giving you an answer blank so that you can have that to help you. Grab a note sheet right there. So x cannot equal 3 halves. questions about either of those? We have one last problem. The last one, all that's in the denominator is an x, which makes it easier, but it also makes it harder because it's different than what we've seen. So the last one, we're going to start out the same way, which is to get that x out of the denominator of our fraction, we have to multiply both sides by x. We're going to start by multiplying both sides by x. And this one, we don't need those parentheses, since there's nothing for the parentheses to hold together, because it's just x. These x's cancel. So then we've got 6 equals negative 3x, or we can flip that around and have negative 3x equals 6. So we'll solve this for what x does equal by dividing both sides by negative 3. We'll get x equals 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Okay. Any questions about solving for x on one like that? Okay, so to solve for our restriction, we're going to take that x that's in the bottom of our fraction, because that's all that's in the bottom of our fraction, and we're going to set it not equal to 0. Well, since x is already by itself, we don't need to do anything to solve. So our restriction on this one is just x cannot equal 0. Okay. Any questions right now? Okay. I'm going to stop this recording.